Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that we linked with the January transfer move to Arsenal. We're actually at an airport in Barcelona Airport, looking ahead to the game Girona tomorrow. Girona's not too far away from Barcelona, so we've landed in Barcelona, then we're going to be driving up to Girona. I've got Lee over here.
Yeah.
Transfer Daily.
My debut.
Your debut on Transfer Daily. First of all, you know what I wanted to ask you is, how are you feeling so far about the January transfer window? Stupid question, right?
I just think it's just January for us at the moment, isn't it? So listen, I know everybody's going on about why we ain't signed that. I'm the same. But when you look around, no one's really done a lot of business. Man City a little bit, Aston Villa maybe, but not really any other teams have been doing it. Look what's been going on with Marcus Rashford. And he still hasn't gone anywhere at this moment in time. And you know he's going to go towards the end of it, So Arsenal need to sort out some players quickly. I think after this game we've got the weekend game against City, and then we've got a little bit of a break. But then the transfer
window closes on the 3rd of February, which is next week Monday. And I was discussing it with a guy on the plane. What if something happens to Kai Havertz? Who's the striker?
Well, something has happened to Kai Havertz at the moment. He's not doing that well, is he? His form's dropped a little bit. Maybe because he's playing too many games, Rob, and that's the reason why,
Yeah. Well, listen. To bring you up to date with some of the rumours that we're hearing about today, and of course we've got the Champions League game tomorrow. The first one to talk about was Jhon Durán. Now, according to David Ornstein, he's reporting that Arsenal have made inquiries about Jhon Durán. I'm at it again. I ain't even drunk nothing, right? They've made inquiries about Jhon Durán, trying to find out from Aston Villa if he'll be for sale. David Ornstein is sort of making noises like either, he could go, because you've obviously got Ollie Watkins there, you've got Jhon Durán there. Both of them want to start games. Both of them want to be starting week in, week out. There's only one position, and Villa would be willing to sell if they get the right price, said to be what they're looking for, around about £80 million. Now, we definitely need a striker. We've seen Jhon Durán this season, he's looked good. But is he worth £80 million? Would you, if you're Arsenal, would you go and invest £80 million in Jhon Durán? Because remember, if you buy Durán, that probably means you're not going to get a Sesko. You're definitely not going to go after an Isak probably, or any of these other targets that are mooted for the summer. It's going to be him, Durán, for probably the next 3-4 years.
21 years of age, Rob.
Yep.
So listen, I'm a big fan of his. I do rate him. 80 million's a lot of money, but we're in a position where we can't get anything cheap. You're not going to get him on the cheap.
But 80 million?
No, it's too much. If we can get him for 60, that would be, I think, about right. But I don't know. What is the right price? We're desperate. I don't think Aston Villa are desperate to sell, but I do think that it's causing a few problems at Villa.
Yeah, it sounds like the way in which David Ornstein was reporting the story sounds like, there is an issue there, because both, just based off of the fact that both strikers want to start games.
Yeah.
Right, so that's one. Another player that's been heavily linked today is Evan Ferguson of Brighton. Now, we were in Brighton a few weeks ago, and we were speaking to a very, very, very good source, who we can't say who it is, but let's just take it from the two of us, that was a very, very good source, right? And at the time, he was saying to us, yes, Evan Ferguson probably will go out on loan this January, but probably not Arsenal, because Arsenal, he's not going to get enough game time, he's not going to play enough games, and Brighton don't want to sell him. They don't want to loan with options and stuff like that.
No.
They just want to loan him out for him to play games, right, for him to then return to Brighton, and for Brighton probably to do what they normally do, either flip it, right, and make a load of money, or keep him in the team. They rate him highly, but they think he's still a bit raw and he just needs game time. Now, if he came to Arsenal on loan, we all know about the loan position at Arsenal and the fact that they got 2 English loan players already. You can only have 2 in a season. That's 2 players loaned from English clubs. They've got Sterling, of course, from Chelsea, and Neto from Bournemouth. But they could either send one of those back, which is seemingly unlikely, or what they could do is maybe buy Neto, which it wouldn't be that expensive to do, and then bring in Ferguson on loan. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we played Brighton, probably a highly, highly unlikely loan. But could this one possibly happen now, given the fact that when we were speaking to that gentleman, Jesus was still at Arsenal, Jesus is no longer there, and Arsenal are getting a bit desperate?
Yeah, and this one could happen now because, as you said, he is available for loan and loan only. So if Arsenal are looking and can't get their striker until the summer, it would make sense, wouldn't it, to get someone in now
backup
as a backup
to Havertz.
They're happy to.
But is he the standard that we need? I mean,
he's a
very
good
exciting young player, very good young player. But if Brighton he don't start at Brighton, is that what we're going to be relying on?
Well, at the end of the day, I'd rather have him than nothing, Rob. So if it comes down to it as an option, you know, I think it's something that Arsenal could explore. Is it what we want? Not really. But I think he's a very, very good player. You know, I think about 2 years ago, I think he was, everybody sort of wanted him.
90 million
yeah. So it's just like injuries have curtailed his career a little bit. Brighton want to get him back on track. As he said, there's no way they want to sell him.
Okay, it's going to be an interesting one to see. We know that West Ham are also very, very interested. And at the time, actually, the person we were speaking to said to us that was probably more than likely the club he'd go to, because they were desperate for a striker. You know, I mean, obviously no Mikel Antonio after his accident, and you know, we know that they've got an injury to Bowen, although Bowen should be returning for them soon. But it's going to be interesting to see where Evan Ferguson ends up. Could it be Arsenal? The other one is this one. Nico Williams of Athletic Bilbao has been linked with Arsenal, all summer. Arsenal were not able to get that deal done because he didn't want to leave the club. He was also linked with Barcelona at the time. Now, Fijas, which is an outlet here in Spain, they're saying today that both Arsenal and Spurs are willing to trigger his release clause, which is said to be around about £49 million to get him in January. Now, it's fascinating because I was chatting to a couple of fans on the plane who are Barcelona fans, and they were coming over for the game. And they were saying that he's been very quiet since the Euros, Nico Williams. Remember that Barcelona wanted him as well, and they were saying, you know, in the end, despite the fact that they were desperately trying to get him to team him up with Yamal and have that same partnership what they had at the Euros, they didn't end up getting him, and they kept Rafinha, and Rafinha's been absolutely on fire. Remember, a lot of our fans didn't want Rafinha when there was talk that we could go and get him. Rafinha's been on fire. Nico Williams has been quiet, but is it that he needs a new challenge? Could Arsenal meet with this release clause? And the other, even more important thing is, would he be willing to go?
That's a good one, because on social media today, there's pictures of him in London, isn't there? Now, I don't know if that's now or it was in the summer or whatever. Don't know why they've surfaced. You know, listen, release clause, if that can be done and he wants to come, that's a good deal. That's what I think. It's going to be the release clauses that are going to players that we're going to get, because these clubs ain't got the option. So, but with
the only problem with this release clause is
you have to pay the whole lot.
You've got to pay all of it up front, and that may be a barrier again to Arsenal, because they won't want to pay the whole 49 million up front. It was even talk that they'd be willing to pay extra money to Athletic Bilbao so that they could spread the payment over the period of his contract. But one to watch there, definitely. And then this one, Aiden Heaven. Looks like he's on his way to Manchester United. Aiden Heaven, of course, centre-back at Arsenal. 18 years of age, been on a scholarship now. His scholarship's coming to an end. And in June, he can sign for any club he wants. Arsenal wanting to sign up on a professional papers and contract, but he's attracted the interest of a lot of clubs around Europe, Eintracht Frankfurt, Dortmund, and Manchester United. He was at the Man United game last week, watching them. Looks like he's going to United. Is this a big blow to Arsenal?
No, he's in one way and not in the other. Like, if you're looking at him, how's he going to? If Saliba and Gabriel, if you look on it, if they're going to be at Arsenal for another 4 or 5 years, so where's his route into the first team? So he may be looking at that, like, you know. And
where's his route into United though?
Well, you know, you never know with United. They may chop that up and all that. But Arsenal's defence is pretty sound and pretty assured for the next few years. You've also got Ben White that can go in there. You've got like Calafiori now, like Tommy. It's a difficult route for him to get in there. 18 years of age. What I've seen of him, he looks decent, but he needs to go on loan a couple of times and all that. It is what it is, really, Rob, isn't it?
Yeah, I think with a lot of these young players, and I don't know the financial terms of this, a lot of times it's coming down to money, Lee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't see him breaking into the Man United first team either. And it could be one of those that United purchase him, put him on a really good wage, and then sell him on for a big profit. That's what's happening with a lot of clubs. That's what happened with Amari Hutchinson when he left from Arsenal and went to Chelsea. Yeah. Sold on for £21 million. But it does look like Aiden Heaven is going to be on his way to Manchester United, and a youngster lost.
Yeah, another youngster lost, and another one at Man United, which doesn't bode well. But
Chibo and
there's a couple of young Man United players out there that I wouldn't mind like going in, like Manu. Why don't we upset the apple cart with that one?
Well, you know what? Finally, just before we go, this was a discussion on the plane. Marcus Rashford definitely got no chance of going to United. Can't go AC Milan now that Walker's gone there because they can only sign one English player on loan, right? Dortmund can't afford his wages. Like half of the teams that he's been linked with, Barcelona here is the club that he'd love to go to. They can't afford his wages. Would you have Marcus Rashford at Arsenal? We're getting into a bit of a desperate situation. We need a forward player. We've heard all the things that Amorim said. But would you take him on loan at Arsenal from now till the end of the season?
Yes, I would, if we've got nothing else available. You know, because again, I'll go back to the thing, we haven't got anybody.
Is it Sterling all over again though?
Well, it could be, but that's the position that we're in at this moment in time. You know, listen, I think that could go work for us. Imagine if he did work and we got the Rashford of a couple of years ago, that would be unbelievable. There is talent there, he's an England international. I don't know what's gone on at Man United. Something's gone on for him to be like he has. And at the end of it, we're desperate for strikers, Rob, some sort of attacking options. And I know people go, I don't want Rashford, and I understand that. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers at the moment. I'd rather have something than nothing.
Yeah. Well, those are the rumours for today. Listen, we're all desperate for a forward player, desperate for a striker. Time is running down. The clock is ticking on Arsenal right now. For me, we have to get someone in. Even the game tonight, when really you'd be looking at it and saying maybe we should be resting a few, you know, because we got the game coming up at the weekend against Man City. Who can you really rest in that forward area? There's no one you can really rest because there's no one else. So Arsenal need reinforcements this January transfer window, and hopefully they get them in, but the clock is ticking. The 3rd of February is when that transfer window closes, and hopefully we get someone in. Don't forget to check out all of our coverage over here in Spain. We're going to be at the game in Girona. We're going to be doing a preview coming from outside the ground in Girona, so make sure you check that out. And we've got loads of content. We're speaking to fans after the game, as well as having our watch along back in the studio in London. We've got the game completely covered. Our last game in the Champions League looks like we're through. Let's just go out here and seal it. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you tomorrow.